Hey, what is up guys, it's Jay-Z here and welcome for a new Strangers of Paradise build video today. We'll be looking at a very powerful build that will have you be up close with the enemies and deal some tremendous amount of damage. Since later in the game the enemies become super strong and using weapons like the gauntlets really make you super nimble and you're prone to dying in just a few hits. With this build we'll be able to tank a good amount of damage and have good survivability as well. If you guys enjoyed the video and like what you see, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my future builds. With that, let's get straight into the build. Now the gauntlets aren't particularly strong, in the sense they do very little damage, but their attack speed is pretty fast. It's the kind of weapon if you like really fast paced action and you want to be in the enemy's face and want to go and head on and punch your way through everything. Gauntlets are also really hard to use because they will get you killed a lot. Or just in general, since you'll be up close with the enemies, just getting a stray hit from enemies out of nowhere will shred through your health bar. With this build and a particular armor set that we will be looking at, you'll be able to tank a good amount of damage and also deal a good amount of damage. And for that, we will be using the Dark Knight job. The Soul Eater skill is absolutely crazy and super powerful. Now I know what you may be thinking, the gauntlets are already not good for survivability and I am using a job that will drain health for damage. But we have quite a few tricks and abilities we'll be using to make the most of this. Now the Dark Knight is focused on getting abilities and stats that you will gain when you're near death. Hence the reason why it drains your health upon using Soul Eater. The job affinity of the Dark Knight gives you bonuses to damage when you are near death, and if you reach 400% affinity on it, you will have the effects that will trigger near death be active all the time. So you will need to get your Dark Knight affinity to 400%, so we can have that bonus be active all the time. In the job tree itself for the Dark Knight, if you are near death, Soul Eater is basically free to use and won't require any magic points, hence you can keep it active indefinitely. Then the second job affinity that you will need to focus on is the Berserker. The Berserker job and the Dark Knight work extremely well together. You will need to get your Berserker job affinity to at least 250% so you can use the Savage Awakening ability. Now what this does is you will get the effects of Shell and Protect whenever you're near death. With the Dark Knight having your near death effects active all the time, you will have the effects of Shell and Protect on you at all times. If you are unsure what they do, Shell will reduce the magic damage that you take, and Protect will reduce the physical damage that you take. This is a huge bonus as you will have this damage reduction on you indefinitely, and will greatly increase the survivability if you do plan on running solo, or your teammates happen to fall. Those are the two job affinities you will need to focus on for this build. Everything else will just be a bonus if you do have some gear as artifacts. Now let's go over the weapons and armor. The weapon of choice for me at least was the Raptor Claws, hence giving this build the Wolverine name. The reason we use these is because the Sparring Claw and the Death Claw are two really good combo abilities. Death Claw will deal some form of AoE damage if you do happen to have many enemies around you. The Sparring Claw is a great way to stagger enemies or even close the distance to them. For the armor we will be using a specific set mostly, and that is the Abyss Armor set. The reason why we use the Abyss Armor set is because it jobs with the effects of near death stats. These effects are tied to this gear set and you cannot find these effects in your equipment modifications. So you cannot use any gear piece and decide to change a special effect on them to have near death stats. Only the Abyss Armor set have near death stat effects on them. So we will be using the Abyss Mask, the Abyss Gauntlets and the Abyss Cuirass, all giving you near death stats in damage dealt as well as damage taken. For the torso I used a different gear piece as I needed something with the Berserker job affinity on it. For the boots you don't really need the Abyss gear piece as because it doesn't have any near death effects on it. Here I want to show you the special effects. I still haven't fully upgraded my gear pieces yet, but you can still see here. Since you have your near death bonuses active at all times, you will have plus 75% damage and minus 30% damage reduction at all times. Not to mention on top of that damage reduction, you will also have your Shell and Protect effects as well, which will reduce the damage even further. Now let's go over the command abilities as well. The Blood Weapon is absolutely crucial for this build. Without this you will lose your health near instantly if you use Soul Eater. So make sure you have this skill in use at all times. You'll be able to out heal the effects of Soul Eater as well as any damage that you take as well. Then we use Lunatic to increase our attack speed. The faster we attack, meaning the more damage we'll be able to output and the more healing we'll get from Blood Weapon as well. Even though it stops the automatic break gauge recovery, you don't really need to worry about that as the Berserker affinity will refill your break gauge as you keep attacking. Then for the last one we will be going for the Mighty Strikes as it will increase your damage even further. Mighty Strikes will have all the attacks beyond the enemy be weakness attacks, making them take even greater damage. Also, since you'll be inflicting dark with Soul Eater, The dot damage will also be even stronger if you have this active, and making them be all weakness damage values. Let's quickly go over the job master points that are crucial for this build. The master points that are important is the near death stats. Make sure to max out on both near death damage taken and near death damage dealt. Also, one more is the status accumulation, just so the enemies can get inflicted with dark quicker. Those are the only important ones that you will need for this build. That is it for the items and gear pieces and what abilities you will need for this build. The Abyss armor set is truly one of the strongest, if not the strongest in the game. Using it with the gauntlets and the Dark Knight and Berserker jobs in combination makes for a build that is truly unstoppable. The armor set, which I'm not completely sure where it can be farmed, but the best luck I've had with it is from the mission here, the Airborne Memories, the Guided, where you go through 3 bosses. It is well worth it when you have this gear and set the Dark Knight affinity to 400%. Your damage will go through the roof, as well as being a literal tank. You can shoot 3 bosses like it's nothing. Really don't even need to go in with allies. Make sure you have Berserker set as your secondary job, as this is one of those jobs in which you can use its effect even after you change the jobs. You can proc the Berserker's ability, which will allow you to increase your damage and not get staggered by enemy attacks. This is so useful as you can mash and mash and mash through everything without the enemies constantly interrupting you with your attacks. So switch to the Berserker, use his ability, and then switch back to your Dark Knight job. You can truly tell the difference between using the Berserker skill and not using it, since you can refill both your health and your break gauge with attacks. The Berserker skill just lets you do whatever you want with no consequences. Only attacks which are unblockable will interrupt you. This is truly an amazing build that can get you past nearly everything that the game can throw at you. You can do all level 300 missions with ease and with hardly any effort. It is literally so strong that even enemies like the Tiamat will not even get time to regenerate their health. Make sure to have your abilities up like the Blood Weapon at all times, otherwise you will get destroyed. The Soul Eater will leave you at 1 HP if you don't have that skill up. That is it for the build, guys. Hope everyone enjoyed it. If you liked the video and would like to see more, I will have more builds coming for Stranger of Paradise soon, so keep a lookout for that. Comment down below what you guys all thought of it. Do you like the playstyle of being a tank and having great DPS as well? Let me know. I would love to hear from you all. I will catch you all next time.